Pandemonium erupted in a London courtroom today as a distressed Prince Harry suffered an apparent mental breakdown after his former ghostwriter Jr Moehringer took the stand and produced bombshell evidence the Duke of Sussex systematically destroyed materials during the reporting process for his best-selling memoir Spare. What began as a seemingly routine defamation hearing against British tabloid publishers for printing falsehoods about Harry rapidly spiraled into shockwaves after Moehringer unleashed a thorough multimedia exposé appearing to confirm long-swirling speculation that the Duke engaged in widespread deception and staging of autobiographical events. Your Honor, despite my initial reluctance and deference to protect my work with the defendant, I can no longer in sound conscience remain silent while Prince Harry perpetuates so many fabulisms at the expense of the truth, Moehringer solemnly declared as the packed gallery murmured in stunned disbelief. I have incontrovertible proof he misrepresented formative life experiences, altered documentary evidence, and essentially fraudulently deceived everyone, myself included, in manufacturing the vast majority of what became his epic media narrative in Spare. With that, the Pulitzer Prize-winning writer produced a cache of never-released videos, photos, handwritten notes, and audio recordings, all seemingly contradicting Harry's authenticated accounts and lived experiences comprising the memoir's most headline-grabbing and intimate chapters. The explosive materials, Moehringer explained, were obtained from a secret archive covertly maintained before being later destroyed by the Prince Mid project. When I first signed on, standard operating procedure required we comprehensively back up all primary source data being considered for potential inclusion, memoirs, letters, diaries, media snapshots and so on. Nothing unusual there, Moehringer recounted from the witness box. But almost from the very beginning, troubling inconsistencies arose as we uncovered documents indicating Harry had falsified or misstated substantial details from his childhood, military deployments, even regarding romantic relationships and falling outs with senior royals. The decorated former LA Times journalist known best for co-writing Andre Agassi's confessional open then played a disturbing video appearing to show the real Prince Harry as a somewhat shy, timid, and almost academically disengaged schoolboy clearly outpaced in popularity compared to his more precocious older brother William and doting parents. In stark contrast, the Duke has always publicly painted himself in Spare and accompanying media tours as a brash, rebellious, troublemaking yet charming young soul deeply wounded by Diana's death and constantly at odds against an antiquated oppressive royal machine determined to crush his iconoclastic spirit from birth. This video proves beyond any doubt that Harry's professed party prince recollections largely never happened, or, at best, were greatly exaggerated rewritings of relatively standard youthful angst tailored to conform with carefully workshopped public branding, Moehringer asserted while placing the footage on screen, eliciting audible shockwaves from the jury and onlookers. His reflections about suffering desolate loneliness and outright bullying were simply unfounded falsehoods ginned up retroactively to market the memoir as some shocking, heart-rending survivor's tale of struggle. Even more salacious, the renegade writer divulged even notes and recordings made during in-person interviews with Harry contained contradictions he would catch the Duke outright lying about in real time, only to nod along and never confront him amid fears of derailing the lucrative project. Moehringer played one such checkpoint, a taped December 2022 video call going to bizarre lengths as Harry appeared to literally act out and improvise harrowing war details and even red-hot footage following Moehringer's impromptu directions manufacturing extra combat drama. The absurd Hollywood-esque outtakes showed a sweating, beet-red Harry stammering and flubbing lines invoking taking a burst of AK gunfire to my left quadrant just behind my extraction slider, technical jargon he completely pulled from thin air after Moehringer apparently fed him suggestions. Moehringer then captured video of the Duke going one step further pretending to drag slapdash prosthetic, blast-wound appliances through the dirt amid smoke machines while shouting scripted, "Arg, man down," pleas for dramatic embellishment. By no metric could anyone credibly claim those testimonials are factual when he knowingly directed and reshaped the supposedly harrowing nature of those combat experiences in real time like some messed-up acting audition, Moehringer proclaimed, throwing up his hands as the court gasped in astonishment. That's precisely the kind of fraudulent historical revisionism that comprised so much of my billable work repackaging falsehoods into quote-unquote emotional truths for Harry's consumption. Despite the seemingly ironclad media displays, Moehringer claimed he attempted earnest interventions to steer the project into more grounded authenticity on numerous occasions, only to have them dismissed and rebuffed by the Duke's inner cordon of PR handlers, personal assistants, and Hollywood consultants essentially guiding their celebrity client into ever more sensationalized revisionism. I'll never forget getting this curt email from his U.S. legal counsel essentially warning me to mind my own business after I objected to Harry's team workshopping inserting exaggerated depictions of physical altercations with William and outrageously fictionalized scenarios about the entire family spreading cruel body-shaming rumors behind his back, the writer recalled grimly. So many glaring fabrications I protested were always met with reminders who actually held authorial supremacy and final content control, so, grin and bear it, I guess. As the shocking releases piled up, Prince Harry, who sat slumped in the defendant's chair, appeared to visibly shrink and teeter amid snowballing implications about the full breadth of what factual accounts he may have forged, falsified or simply manufactured wholesale from scratch without so much as a shred of substantive evidence back then. Finally, when Moehringer produced a profanity-laced voicemail preserved from summer 2022 threatening to erase his entire truth-telling voice, the Duke completely broke down into hysterics, sobbing into his hands and suddenly leaping atop the defense table to unleash a disjointed, fevered oath about the boundless fealty of his story. "Don't you all dare invalidate my soul's full dimension, you sick, twisted jesters. I am a once and future truth martyr anointed to section the pathogen bloodline of generational traumas," the distraught 38-year-old ranted at full shriek, spit flying. "My ancestors burned me at sovereign stake when I was just a boy, draining my Christ Ongao memories in crown-programmed pensitrances, but my word holographics now are read attacker those archinative psychopennant wounds mastercasting perceptual sequencers to heal the human." Chaos then completely overran the court as Harry appeared to collapse into terrifying convulsive fits on the table above while royal aides and security scrambled in vain to restrain the hysterical episodes now rippling forth in what were unmistakably the most severe mental distress spirals he has ever publicly experienced. The pandemonium played out for nearly half an hour as both legal teams shouted over each other while guards urgently wheeled the stricken Duke out on a stretcher fully strapped down amid the hellish scenes of him writhing and screaming guttural cryptograms from some other reality. "He's become completely and utterly unmoored in an infinite fugue outside himself," a shaken Moehringer solemnly remarked as the courtroom finally cleared. Officers trying to untangle the tabloid case amid revelations that huge swaths of Prince Harry's entire lived reality could have been completely fabricated backstories workshopped and test-marketed to derive an optimized media narrative for commercial and cultural impacting or very specifically cloud objective historical authenticity. I knew his sense of reality already bent and merged nebulous truth with storytelling mythology. But today's convulsions unfortunately reflect a tortured soul essentially hallucinating fantasy personas that now completely usurped and overpowered his fractured sense of core identity.